Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdome.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdome.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdome?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave, and they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
What up? This is Myron, and you are listening or watching the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast. That down on the docks, on the other side of the tracks, 5-star dive bar about your beloved Seattle Mariners that just keep on breaking your heart, but keep on pulling you back, keep frustrating you. We're here talking about it. Of course, today on this episode, we are talking about the article. You know what we're talking about. If you don't, we're going to fill you in. It's the big article that's going on and going around the United States because it's USA Today. I don't know if that's still a big thing to me. Bob Nightingale with the scoop. We are also going to check out some things with our boy Vlad, seeing what's going on over there in the Grapefruit League or around the league. And of course, our favorite thing to do now here on the podcast, we're going to close up with Mariners fans losing it. What's up, guys?
Good evening.
How's it going?
Oh, you know, it's quite a day here in Seattle sports. We got Tyler Lockett, of course, being released by the Seahawks. You got DK Metcalf asking for a trade. And we got this article. So I don't know. We should dig right in on maybe this article right out the gate. We'll do that right after this. All right, so we're going to pull this right up here on the screen. If you haven't seen this article, spoiler alert, we are going to show it to you once I get past this paywall. In the meanwhile, Hannah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was happening today with this article?
Yeah, Bob Nightingale got caught up with Justin Turner, former Mariner who got picked up at the deadline last year, now playing with the Cubs, and he pretty much just raked the Mariner ownership over the coals and said it like it is. Like, these guys have a great pitching staff, unicorns, you know, but they obviously are not really looking forward to going and adding on and winning. What's up with them? And he pretty much said what a lot of us fans have talked about for a long time now.
Yeah, it's different now because now you're hearing it from somebody. We heard the bitching and moaning a couple of years ago from Cal, which the organization smacked him on the ass and told him to apologize. And now we got somebody that's left the organization, somebody that's been around the league, somebody that's been to the World Series and the playoffs pretty much every single year, done everything in baseball, wanted to come back to the Mariners, and in this article, talks about was waiting around for, a legitimately decent offer. That never came. I've even heard that he was offered more money from the Mariners, still didn't want to come back. I mean, not that he didn't want to come back, but I think in the article he talks about that there wasn't enough being done, even bringing him back. I mean, you look at this, the head of this art. I mean, the title of this article or the headline: Mariners have unicorn pitching staff, but it's absurd Seattle won't spend on offense, and that absurd comes from what Justin Turner's got to say. Vlad, what do you think about?
I think it's great that somebody outside of the fans and, I mean, Justin Turner's a pretty decently big name, I mean, he's done well in the league. He's been on winning teams. And I think you guys are primed to keep this type of heat on them for the whole season. I think if the fans don't shut up and just keep it from now until next season, I think then maybe they'll spend 30. Honestly.
CJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Turner said it himself. It's like if he was the only person they're going to bring back, they're like, well, what the hell are they doing, right? And then I think it calls to like all the fans that are talking about, sell a team to an ownership that actually wants to win. This pretty much, instead of just us kind of blowing hot air and saying those things as fans, it's someone inside who's played for the team, and he was almost a fan. He's kind of towards the end of his career. He was a fan of the team, a fan of playing for Dan Wilson, fan of the Northwest. And he wanted to play with, probably the best starting rotation in the league, like a World Series caliber rotation. And he's just saying, like, I don't understand what they're doing. Like, if we're not spending any money, we're not bringing any bats in. Like, literally, like, what are we doing? He's super confused, and it was a head scratcher. I think that's basically what we've been saying the whole time this offseason.
Yeah, and it's Justin Turner, right? It's not somebody that's temperamental that runs to the media and runs their mouth. I mean, he's one of the older players in the league, which we're all older than, which is sad. But but I mean, he has a great reputation, like you said, Vlad, big name. This isn't somebody that's respected throughout the game.
For sure. And also it's just like when you think about it, like putting together, every team's trying to put together, for the most part, a dynamic pitching staff, right? Through the draft, through development, through trades, and through free agency. And you guys have done it mostly through development and a couple trades. So it's like that hasn't cost you anything. So like what more, like how much more could you have it made? And to give you an excuse to go out and buy a couple big bats. And like I said last year, I respect the Rosarena trade, but you're still thin. You know what I mean? He's not, he's not that guy. You know what I mean? Like he's a good, another solid middle of the order bat, but you guys still are missing another big time threat. If Julio could put together a whole season, then we're talking, but like, and I get it too. I don't think there was that many pure fits for you guys this offseason, but like, you guys know the team. If there was, would they have went for anybody?
Well,
Pete Alonso
million,
seems like the easiest fix. Yeah, like Pete Alonso, right? Like we didn't even say we go after him. But first base,
I can't really kill them on that. I mean, yes, he is a fit, but like, look, I mean, he had to go back to the Mets hat in hand. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't really there for him. But, I think there was a couple other better fits, but like I would think like Bellinger would have been a decent fit for you guys, but he wanted to go to the Yankees. And like, we'll see what happens. There's more people coming in the next couple of years, but like, they could have did something the year before, It's just because it seems to be the position they're taking, but it's like you got this pitching staff, your development is looking really good. I mean, well, maybe you trade one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like you have to have an offense, and you're gonna keep running out these 200 hitting bums all over the field. I mean, come on,
Hanno.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice that he certainly came out and spoke about it. I mean, Vlad, you're right. I think the fans will keep the heat on this year and keep talking about it, especially if we start off poor or have the type of season we've had the last few seasons where we've just missed the playoffs. I mean, the spotlight's on the Mariners. We'll see how they react. I mean, I don't see them changing their ways, to be honest with you. I think they're set in their ways. Ownership is who they are. The only thing as fans we can hope for is that they're close at the deadline and they end up kicking in a few extra bucks and going after and getting a player. I mean, that's the only thing I can look forward to as a fan. I mean, we've talked about that for years, just being in that position, but that's about it.
You're right there. It's like the Mariners, the only thing that they can do, if we're going to go make a splash, like whatever, Castillo, you could look at Randy Rosarena last year. But all of these times in the last 3 years, and because we haven't had the offense, we haven't been in this front running strong position where you're like, you're going to go out and get somebody. We've kind of been on the fence some of these years in this last 4-year window, right? Sometimes we're like, are we buyers? Are we sellers? We can go back, which they talk about in this article, the Kendall Graveman trade. I mean, how bad does that look now down the road?
Absolutely. And I mean, look at last year, we had a 10-game lead and we did jack squat.
Okay, I am forgetting about that.
I mean, we did go out and get a Rosarena. That was nice, but I mean, strike while the iron's hot,
And
I think
go ahead,
it also makes it, a little concerning too, where like now, you're seeing the Yankees made the World Series last year being a bad, a pretty bad team. So the American League isn't like the National League where there's some like people you're terrified to play against, and then a bunch of good teams, and then a bunch of bad teams. The American League's got like some pretty decent teams, and then some good teams, and then they're bad teams. So like, if there was ever a time where spending would kind of make more sense, wouldn't it be now?
Yeah, especially in the West too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Astros are looking different.
Yeah, the Astros don't look scary to me anymore. The Angels, they always give us a hard time. You still have the Texas Rangers that still has a good roster, right? They're built to win right now.
We just won.
And then the A's, we don't really know what they're doing. They spent a lot of money this offseason, but the odds makers still aren't really hot on them. But we know when you play division games, they're tough. And look, the Angels, we can point at the Angels head to head and go, that's why we're not in the playoffs too. But that's also because we couldn't get any, clutch hits. We couldn't put up any runs. And we were running out a beat up, thin bullpen all year. But to go back to this article, let's actually, I want to pull up some of the things that were said here. Again, this is USA Today. It's free. I didn't pay for this shit, so go check it out. But here's some of his quotes right there. Can you guys see that on the screen?
Yeah.
Here we go. Quote: "The fact that they missed the playoffs by 1 game and didn't go out and add an impact bat or two when you have the best pitching staff in baseball." He also said, "Just seems absurd to me." It's almost like as if we wrote this article, right? Like the Mariners fans.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and my favorite part of one of his quotes was when he talks about, honestly, as much as I want to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are they doing? Are you trying? And that's what you prefaced earlier, CJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love that he says, are you trying? Exactly. Are you guys
Let's
trying?
read that again. Honestly, as much as I wanted to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are you trying? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about himself right there, not being the type of player that he once was and kind of even degrading himself and saying, what's going on here?
It is nice to hear somebody humbled that knows where he's at in the game too. Like, hey, I'm not the guy that's going to save you guys. But then if you're him and you're looking at this and they go out and they give Solano the money, we haven't really seen him say, but let's be honest. we've seen him. We've seen the back of the card, 280, but he's another 37-year-old guy that's 5'8", playing first base. Those are the negative things. But again, 280 hitter. But he's not a guy that plays every single day. So you didn't bring in an everyday player, and then you brought back Polanco, somebody that you said wasn't worth the money at that position. Now he's going to play another position that he's played a month of baseball his whole entire career at. And you're Justin Turner, and you look at that. I get why he's saying that, right, CJ?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just that there's not enough names or power, or like I used to strike when the iron's hot, and it's just not like failing in all aspects of that, of trying to bring someone in. And I don't know, maybe there's an aspect of free agents not wanting to come here too. Like the stuff that we heard from Teoscar about the field, but I don't know if that plays into it. But I mean, just with the pitching staff, you think you would get over that. But I think it's definitely like the pocketbook being closed and not willing to spend the money.
Yeah, Parmesan LeBron says best starting 5 pitchers in the history of the game. Justin Turner quote. I mean, okay, that's I did read that part, but look at Vlad's laughing up there.
I mean, was also isn't Minnesota maybe trying to get rid of Correa? There is like some really good bats out there. I would be beyond frustrated. I mean, the Yankees, rich boy Yankees, whatever you guys like to call me, we're dealing with the same thing. Where we're saying like it's a kind of wide open league. We made it to the World Series. Yes, they pivoted. We signed a bunch of guys. We did all this stuff, and people are still bitching because we're like, we still got, we're not deep, and we don't have a third baseman. And it's like, they want more.
What are you doing at third base?
Right now, it's going to be, LeMahieu just got hurt, which, I mean, he's been looking like a bust for literally 3, almost 4 years now. It looks like it's going to be a mix between Cabrera and Perea, which is, a prospect that we had to hear about for years. And he just never really had a spot. He's definitely got a good glove, but, he was a shortstop ahead of Volpe, but he's never really got a full look. So everybody, wants them to talk Arenado again. They keep bringing up going after Correa. They still got those Astros bad taste in their mouth. So pause. But
that doesn't sound too bad to me. I mean, here's what are we doing at third base, Hannah? Like right now, what's the plan? It's Polanco, who hasn't taken any defense. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then we're really putting a lot of stock in this guy, Ben Williamson, who CJ and I saw firsthand. Excellent. I mean, probably a future Gold Glover, but this guy, doesn't have the bat for the major leagues right now. And then from that, you're Dylan Moore, but isn't he supposed to play second base because you don't have a second baseman? And he's your utility player. Yeah, Hannah, what am I missing here?
Oh, I think that's the thing I love teasing Vlad about. I mean, his one thing right there is kind of, I heard this point the other day on the radio, and the guy was talking about if you got a lot of ifs at certain positions. The Yankees, it sounds like, just has an if at one position. The Mariners have ifs all around the ball yard. If Polanco can stay healthy, if Luke Raley can improve on what he did last year, if Dylan Moore can play at a full-time, position player, if we can depend on Robles to have the kind of year that he had last year, and that's just the way. And when you have too many ifs, you really suck. That's what they said, and I kind of like that thought process, when you go around your team. But that's why I like to give Vlad a bunch of crap, because he's just talking about
we could play the if game.
We're talking about the whole team. What's that?
We could play the if game. Okay. Stanton's looking like he's going to be hurt for at least half the season. That would be, that'd be good. All right. About a week and a half ago, they were saying maybe the whole year. Nobody's seen a report, an x-ray, none of this. Nobody has any idea what's going on. So and now I just heard 2 days ago that he should be back, but sooner than later. But still, Stanton-esque.
Okay, I named
We have
3
no idea.
players, and then you come up with Stanton. My point's taken right there.
Well, I mean, we don't have a DH. We have no bench. We have no bench. We have no DH. We have an if rotation going on at third, right?
But
We
Stanton's
have
a guy that can come back halfway through the season and probably put together a better season than these guys.
Okay,
Sure,
let me
it's an
just tell
if.
you, as somebody who's been watching Stanton closely since 2018, when he's hurt, you got to forget about him because it's like he's hurt. Like they'll be like, oh, he pulled something. The motherfucker's gone for 3 months on a clip. Like that's just the way he goes. We have a left fielder who can't catch the ball, and
That's true.
he's hit for a week once. 2 years ago, he hit for a week. Looked like the second coming of Mickey Mantle. He looks like he's on roller skates in left field. So we got that going on. Goldschmidt. Yeah, I'm excited about him. He looks jacked, but age and certain statistical numbers are showing that slight decline. Is he the Goldschmidt from last year's second half, or is he the Goldschmidt from last year's first half? 2 big differences. We just got 2 Heel, who we didn't want to trade for Kyle Tucker, which I would have done. He's gone for he can't even pitch for 6 weeks. Somebody said he might be out 6 months, and then Myron reminded me that's the whole season. So I was like, oh yeah. Why would they say he's out 6 months? That's the season, 6 months. Schmidt is hurt. Luckily we haven't gotten rid of Stroman yet, so that only puts us down 1 pitcher. And it is good to have at least 1 slot where you could see what you got. And we've had some decent spot starters last year that I would like to get another look at. But we have 0 bench.
I'd still take your lineup. I'd still take it.
Got the best hitter. I'm excited about seeing Jazz Chisholm for a full year. And we still got to see if Volpe is he going to come up. Our catcher was also a Rookie of the Year finalist, and he looked. I'm not worried about him whatsoever. And last year we rode the coattails of having one of the best 1-2 punches that carried them through not knowing how to play baseball to the World Series. Everything you guys saw in the World Series was what we watched all year long. They're kicking the ball around, dumb shit. Cole missed time last year. It's that's an if. Is he going to be the normal Cole? Everybody's a year older. There's always, my concerns.
I'm sure if we went by team, there's definitely ifs.
Oh, absolutely.
I just feel like the ifs that we're talking about, and yours are valid too, Vlad, for sure. And I've listened and seen things that are going on with the Yankees for sure. You also extended your manager. That's a whole nother subject. But the ifs on the Mariners, is a lot of these if guys, they've either never done it or they haven't done it in a long time, because you have Mitch Haniger that, look, he hasn't been good in 4 years. We're kind of stuck with. Yeah. JP Crawford, he hasn't been good for a while. Third base, even Polanco, he hasn't been Jorge Polanco. And then the if guys, Ryan Bliss, only has a few at bats in the major leagues. Ben Williamson hasn't played in the major leagues. Louis Rivas had a cup of coffee, but is that a guy you're going to be going to all the time? And then you have Dylan Moore. Sure, he won a Gold Glove, but he still hasn't shown on a regular basis that he can play. And then the if is if Luke Raley, who's not a great defensive first baseman, he's an outfielder by trade, a great outfielder, good left-handed bat. If he's not playing first base, what are we doing around the infield? That's the Mariners. If I think
sounds like a disaster. But that's partially the new league we're in, where GMs, and I don't know if it's the statistic guy or whoever's making these calls, teams don't seem to care about people's natural positions anymore. Like they'll just shove somebody anywhere and be like, oh, well, we could move him here. And it's like, what is it, a video game?
Yeah, kind of reminds me of what the Seahawks do when they were looking for what Pete Carroll was doing every year when he was looking for linemen, right? He would just we'll just put this free safety in the line. We'll take a really quick break, and then we're going to get back to this article because I wanted to pull up a couple of quotes. And of course, we are going to get to comments, and we're going to go to Mariners fans losing it.
There's a place in New York owned by the biggest sports stars around.
You know, I like to move along here.
And you never know when they'll show up.
Long. Short.
It's the official All-Star Cafe.
Henry Griffey Jr., 301 lifetime average.
Where the owners are always willing to help out.
Excuse me, it's 302.
So if you go, bring the right stats and the right card. Visa, because the All-Star doesn't take American Express.
301 lifetime average.
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
The World Series, where a pitch is not just a pitch, it's a World Series pitch. Where a hit is not just a hit, it's a World Series hit. A win is not just a win, it's a World Series win. Now you've got a chance to win a trip to the 1984 World Series by entering Major League Baseball's Grand Slam sweepstakes at all Major League ballparks and participating retailers. Baseball fever, catch it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
All right, so back into this article, I just want to. There's so many of these good quotes that you just feel like a Mariners fan wrote this. Like where we were really focusing on before we got a little off topic was what the hell are we doing? Are you trying? But the next big quote is, quote, there's not going to be a better time for it. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm confused. It's a head scratcher for me. Quote, I told them several times this offseason, you have a unicorn of a pitching staff. This might be the best 5 starting pitchers in the history of the game. And I mean, find me another 5-man. There obviously has been teams that have had elite guys, right? Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz in Atlanta, maybe 4 guys in Baltimore, Palmer, McNally, Bobby Culler, and Pat Dobson in 71. But 5 guys, quote, there's never going to be a better time in the history of the franchise to have added a couple of bats and make a run this year, and they missed it. I thought Alonso would be a slam dunk. How could you not even go after him? You kidding me? And then here's some other ones. I mean, we'll stop right there. I mean, again, why don't you go after somebody like Alonso? Why wouldn't you add a bat?
We go back to. I think they got a quote from J.P. Crawford.
We're gonna get to that. I was hiding that from you. We're gonna get to that because, again, it just feels like the Mariners fan base wrote this. It's literally everything that we want to say, and it just shows you how cool Justin Turner is. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he checks everything out that people are saying. He's of the age of social media. I mean, is there anything that we can possibly disagree at or make an excuse for?
I don't think so. I mean, everything's what he says is true. I think the only thing now is that, you know, the team has to prove us wrong as fans, right? When the season starts, there's obviously nothing, you know, we haven't played any games yet. We obviously haven't seen anything in the off season as far as getting the improving and signing big bats, but you know, who knows? The season starts into this month, right? And so maybe they can prove us wrong. I mean, that's an optimistic thought, but I don't know.
Well, here's my question. The team would be true. I mean, if they were successful, would it be the organization proving us wrong? I guess that's the pessimistic way. Like, Hanno, how would you feel if this team just took off and we had a hot season with these guys that we're questioning here?
You know, I mean, I think it's a real possibility, honestly. What I've been hearing and reading about, I think Dan Wilson's going to be a big key to it as well, how he's going to call a more aggressive game. I think that should help out. when guys get on base and get walks. I mean, we still need to hit the ball and drive runners in scoring position, but I think Dan Wilson's going to help out. And, I mean, yeah, these guys, I mean, everybody had a career worst year last year. You don't think, going into it, you don't think everybody's going to be that bad, and there'll
True.
be some improvements. So I can definitely look at the positive side, and a full 162 with these guys, I just don't see them. Well, I just don't see them being able to pull it all together. But one thing is that, like you mentioned, the Astros, it seemed like they've declined a little bit. The Rangers had an off year last year, but they're just 2 years away from a World Series. I would expect a bounce back from them. Sure, I just think the Mariners season could go either way, either be really successful or just kind of be a mediocre mid team like they have been the last few years. That's how I see it.
Yeah, you brought up something where it's like, yeah, they had all these really like career terrible years. I mean, we all know about the hitting. We look back just like this article does on those last 34 games. I mean, the Mariners went from being 28th in offense to 3rd in offense. I mean, in that 34 span, entering that point, they were the 28th team. They didn't end up being the 3rd best, but in that 34 game stretch, they were the 3rd best in baseball with this lineup minus Justin Turner. So, and you are seeing things like CJ and I saw at spring training and heard, and you guys have heard about lots of bunting. We've heard that they're going to play. Dan Wilson's definitely going to play for that small ball and definitely be aggressive on the base pass and definitely, trying to get playing for that one run, because how many games did you lose by one run? How many games did you only score this? So yeah, the philosophy definitely has to change. So I feel better than the other coaching staff that was there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to this article, I know Vlad said, hold on a second. I think I saw something from JP Crawford. Yes. JP Crawford has a comment in here, which is rather interesting. Since you kind of see what the tone of the conversation is so far, or the article is so far. His comment was, let's see.
Right below the map.
There you go. Are you ready for it? I know where it is. I was trying to see if there's a lead in. He goes, that's not our job, Mariners shortstop JP Crawford said. I know the fans are mad at certain people, but they're taking it out on all of the players. So I really don't get that. I don't feel like we're taking it out on the players at all. Are we being honest about what's in front of us? Sure. I've never taken it out. We haven't taken it really out on the players, except for a little bit with JP when you hear shit like this.
I mean, I've been taking it out on Julio because it's like I still don't know who he is.
Sure. And
right? I mean, it's just like, dude, who are you? You can't be having 2 month slumps every year now. But JP Crawford's saying that because that'd be one of the first positions I upgrade at. If I bought the Mariners tomorrow, I'd be like, see ya. Or you're bench shortstop.
We're going to go to the tape right now. JP Crawford. We've been pretty critical just because of all the shortstops and up the middle guys that have been available the last few years. What do you think about JP Crawford?
I think he can't hit for shit. Remember, I was killing Ty France 2 years on the podcast. The minute and Myron kept sticking up for him, I'm like, this guy is a bust.
Thank you.
The minute you guys got rid of him, I turned my sights straight to JP Crawford, and I'm like, dude, he's next. And he's a defensive replacement short bench guy at best. This guy can't hit, and he's never going to hit.
He had one good year for us a couple years ago, had some pop. I mean, just really looked like he figured it out, and then he reverted back last year.
If you're looking for just a glove, you could find those guys and pay him nothing. He was hitting like what, 209?
I don't even want to look up his stats. It's
I mean, dude,
depressing.
I could just give me 48 hours and a minivan in Venezuela. I'll find you a shortstop.
All right. So we get that you're not a JP Crawford fan, but also the one guy that we've, you know, you can kind of point at him. Like I said right there at the beginning, we're kind of upset. I guess the hard thing, right, CJ and Hanno, is that it's not about this year. It's the other years where the Mariners could have made different moves, especially at shortstop, especially up the middle, with how many people were available. Would you guys agree? That's kind of where the frustration is with JP.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I think we saw that he was like a super high prospect, brought him in. We're just giving him all this time, and he hasn't really worked out. Although he's like, shortstop is his position, unlike the rest of the infield. Like, we don't know like the ifs that we're saying. So
yeah, I'd say
he is a shortstop, so you got that going for him.
He's got the most secure spot on the infield right now, honestly, if you think about it. And what's he handle? Yeah, which is sad. What's this, his 4th of the 5-year deal that he is, or 5-year deal that he has?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, it's something like that. I know he's got maybe at the most 2 more years on the deal, but yeah, you're right. You know, and things get magnified, you know, when a guy in his approach at the plate gives those big hacks, you know, and he's not producing like he had in the past. Sure, he might have had some injuries and here and there, but, you know, guys get picked on when, you know, you're frustrated about a lot of things by ownership and, you know, and you're losing. So, sorry, JP.
Yeah, it's just, of course, I mean, them not doing anything has, you know, kept his position secure for him. And look, the rest of this article, we could sit here and go through it all, but we don't have time for it. It isn't just a scathing review just on that. There's some optimistic stuff, but you do get comments from, you know, Logan Gilbert, you know, just in, you know, paraphrasing him, going like, yeah, we'd like them to, it's not our money. Yeah, sure. We'd like somebody to go and get after it. I mean, they can honestly only do what they can control. They talk about Edgar Martinez and Kevin Seitzer coming in here and how exciting that's going to be for the hitters, and is. And also, they did defend. It seems like Turner defended defended Jerry Dipoto, I should say. Sorry about that. Of going like, hey, he's got to create money. He's got to make these bad, crazy trades that you're like, what the hell is this? I'm paraphrasing it. And again, you go back to the Kendall Graveman for Abraham Toro trade, having to get rid of Jared Kelenic, you know, to get rid of Marco Gonzalez's, not bringing back Eugenio Suarez, who, by the way, hits 30 home runs and 101 RBIs at third base. And now look what we're doing at third base. And I think you said this last year, CJ. You said we keep on getting rid of things and then having to literally go out and search to just replace the same thing all the time.
Yeah. Well, as the philosophy of not striking out, and then we cut bait with the bats that produce. And then last year we were the highest strikeout team, I think, ever, right? At least last year for sure. But the philosophy definitely left us. And then we cut loose. I mean, I know Kelenic didn't really turn out, but I mean, still, he was a bat potential. And then Teoscar, I mean, you saw what he done. Both are things, you know, players that we could have used in the lineup last year.
100%. 100%. It's rinse and it's repeat. So anything else to add on this article before we get into Mariners fans losing it, where we check out some comments? That looks like a big no. All right, we'll go this quick break and we'll be right back with Mariners fans losing it, where we check out social media and look for Mariners fans losing. It's pretty straightforward, guys. Be right back right after this.
Supercross this weekend in the Kingdom. The Coors Beer Supercross doubleheader. Catch
Get ready, Seattle, this Saturday night at 7:30 and Sunday afternoon at 2. The 1988 AMA Supercross Tour, Motorcyclemania, on an incredible dirt battleground that treats man and machine the same way. With absolutely no respect. See the best. National champion Jeff Ward, former champion Ricky Johnson. Tickets at all Ticketmaster locations, including the Bond, Tower Records and Video, and participating Honda dealers. The Coors Beer Supercross.
All right, so what are we going to start here with today on Mariners fans, isn't it? Actually, we got a couple of comments here. Oh, we got another one from Parmesan Braun. I'm in a Target parking lot. There's a guy playing an accordion. I think I see Jerry talking to him about if he can play infield. Well, you heard him. If you're in the Target parking lot, as if you're not in Venezuela, you're in the wrong place, right, Vlad?
Any Latin American countries, Target parking lot has defensive replacements.
CJ, you sent me over a couple of links to go to. Let me.
Yeah, the first one is Mariner Moose talking about the Justin Turner. The comments are pretty good underneath it.
Okay, let me pull this up. We're doing this live. Oh yeah, Mariner Muse. All right. Yeah, let me share this guy. There's usually some good ones on this one. Sorry about that, listeners. Just having a computer malfunction, of course. Here we go. As far as if you're listening, holy cow, Justin Turner absolutely torched the Mariners. So we're going down here to the comments. Are you guys able to see this on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just click on this. Sorry. My computer's like literally having a breakdown on me. It's heard enough of this Mariner talk. You want to read some of those comments there, CJ, if you can?
Yeah, there's one from Nima. It says, no, Justin, the Mariners are not trying, unless trying is referring to trying to be the most profitable team in baseball.
I like it.
That is there some truth to that statement, Hanno?
Definitely. I mean, who was that, Forbes, that did that big article? I mean, 2 years ago now? It's been that long, saying the Mariners are the most profitable team. And the Mariners haven't done anything to dispose of it, that's for sure.
We got one from Polite Booger Bread. Beard. Sorry.
That's
Polite
a good name.
Beard. Yeah. This is exactly why no one will come to Seattle. Generational pitching, zero effort to win.
I think that from the organization, there is no effort. It's so weird that there's no urgency. It's mind-boggling, right? Just like
they're making money.
Sure.
I mean, which is like the one thing I would me and my dad were arguing about when it's like the Yankees payroll or is at a certain point and people are like, why don't they want to spend more? And it's like, well, don't they deserve to make some money? They are putting money into the team. Then you want them to put even more. But in like this case, like I think that's another reason why this Justin Turner saying it is huge, because every media outlet is going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Everybody's been thinking that or whatever, but based on your market and stuff like that, like you guys just aren't a target from the ESPN Baseball Tonight and all these other things. So he kind of just him saying this in this article puts the spotlight on it from now until for the whole season. So like you got to hope that it just keeps being the traction, and like the fan base, like I said, you guys are so loyal, maybe to your own detriment. You know what I mean? So like people are buying the jerseys, people are going to games.
Yeah.
And if they're crying on Twitter, so what? They're still making money. They still keep their payroll low. And if you guys are doing just good enough, you guys have been accustomed to that for, 20 odd years. So like, that's why I mean, just keep the heat on them. turn on them. I mean, you see how fast the Yankees. We're crabby. Fire Cashman 2 years ago. They rented a whole section of the stadium to do it. People trying to get newspaper ads in the newspaper to put the ownership on blast. So it's like, that's hit them where it hurts.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, there are people that have boycott. I mean, even Hanno you've had somewhat of a boycott. You were only going to road games last year, except
he's wearing a Giants hat right now.
Yeah, he is wearing a Giants hat.
Oh, shit, I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even pick up on that either. But I mean, you were doing what? You were only going on the road, or if somebody else paid for it.
Yep. I had to pay for one or for the family's ticket. We had some friends in from Europe, so I did go to one game.
And I think I begged you once to go, and we had tickets on top of the dugout.
Yeah.
Go ahead, C. Did you got another one?
Let's see. C Sports DGen. Sounds like he decided to say what all the players are thinking out loud now, that he's no longer involved until ownership changes or decided to spend real money. This is going to keep happening. Why would they pay more when their fans keep buying tickets?
Yeah, that goes to Vlad's point. Every time he comes to the stadium, it's full. He looks at the profit margins for the Seattle Mariners. So again, another comment that's we call it Mariners losing it. Today it's kind of Mariners fans spitting reality, spitting the truth. We got one for Billy Burleson. Everything he says here has a point. Mariner ownership sucked. Here's another comment I got right here. It says, the point was obvious. This is from Mada Kiev. The point is obvious. We have a once-in-a-generation pitching lineup, and we're squandering the opportunity because ownership is too cheap to back it up with some quality offense. That's been the Mariners' way since 1976. LOL.
Yeah. This is what I've been saying too. This is from Austin Pugmire. Sorry. Nobody wants the Mariners to win less than the ones who would benefit the most from the Mariners winning.
Absolutely.
Like, spend the money, have a winning team. Like, you would get so much more in return just because that's how our fan base is.
Yeah. I mean,
we got another one
off your playoff appearance,
right?
That's why they don't have to do anything. What's one easy way to check on ownership's cheapness? Because that Forbes article was based on how much they make and how much they get from the profit sharing and from the luxury tax spending of other teams. So what's that number? What's the number how much did they make from the profit sharing and the luxury tax? Can you imagine that was like $20 million? And you don't put it back like that right there and be like, okay, instead of you're not even coming out of pocket. So it's just like, all right, shouldn't that be allotted to next year's team?
No, they upgraded the suites and they upgraded areas in the park that the normal fan can't go to unless they pay all kinds of money. That's what they would do with the money.
Right. But
they opened up this Hatback Bar and Grill across the street that Hannah, you've been very open about, that is losing money hand over fist. Is that right? Or nobody gives a shit about it?
By the beat writer Ryan Divish for the Seattle Times. He maybe didn't say hand over fist, but it's been I don't want to quote him exactly, but it's been a losing proposition for the Mariners from what they expected.
It's a place that you go. What?
You know how you fill the luxury seats in the boxes with bats?
Yeah,
exactly.
Stars. That's what gets people to spend big money to come out to fill those things.
Yeah. Well, and just for Hatback Bar and Grill, it's one of those places you go over and you go, "Oh, this is cool," and you look at it, and then you're like, "All right, this is cool," and then you get your check and you go, "I'm not coming back over here again. I'm going over to Tacos and Tequila, where you can always catch the rye bread and mustard, no matter if the roof is closed. The bar and the kitchen's always open over at Tacos and Tequila right there on Occidental." Here's another couple quick ones, and then we got to get out of here. Let's see. Trevor Anderson. He's not saying anything the whole baseball world doesn't already know. It's obscene to know that we are 1 to 2 bats away from being a serious World Series contenders. And instead of making those moves, our ownership 2025 plan is, quote, "Well, hopefully they'll just play better this year." And that is the language you hear. Well, hopefully if they just play better, if they can play better, it's a big joke. We also have down here, Parmesan LeBron. "I'm laughing hard when Justin Turner will be our big move this season at the trade deadline."
Yeah. This is a good one, too.
It'd be like a wrestling storyline. Like he just shows up with a steel chair and hits John Stanton in the back, and we go to the World Series. That'd be great. CJ?
From Flocka244. "They try extremely hard at being the most profitable team in baseball, and even harder at lying that they have no money to spend."
Yeah. Here's one. "The owners are trying to make a profit. Winning is secondary to making money with the ownership. 100% greed." And again, people are just saying, like, Turner's been to several World Series, so he knows what it takes for an organization to get there. And they should have never made Cal Raleigh apologize. I agree.
Absolutely. That's the one that is so infuriating to me. That's why, those comments by Logan and all those guys, they saw Cal have to come out there the next day and apologize. It's BS.
And then you had one more you just sent me.
You should pop that up. Share it.
Oh, my God. If you were on watching this on YouTube, that's why you got to check us out on YouTube. This is the closer right here. This is the closer because we got to get out of here anyways. Share this to the screen. It is a meme with a slogan, "Choose to lose. A Mariners Seattle tradition." If you don't know what this is a parody of, back in 1995, when the Mariners made their run to the playoffs, a little Mariners history, there was a sign that said "Refuse to lose," and it turned into a big thing. We took out Vlad and his Yankees in that series, and that was pretty much the height, the apex of our lives, and never to feel something like that again since. But that's a pretty good one, though. I like that one. Do you like that one, Anno? Choose to lose.
Yeah.
Anyways, one last thing before we get out of here. Vlad, we got to hear from you. New York Yankees, big news. Get rid of their ban on facial hair. Does this mean you're going to head on down to Florida and try out for the team now?
I would consider it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying it for a while that, it's a little ridiculous now. I mean, it's been like, I would say like maybe 20 years, beards have made a full, I don't want to say comeback, but like, it's the culture's changed. I mean, it's a majority Latino league, and these guys come in lined up to perfection, like myself. And, it's part of our culture and manhood in a lot of ways. And just, I get why Steinbrenner had that rule originally. He was dealing with the post-war and hippie era. And these guys were coming in.
Manscaped logo on their jersey starting on opening day.
What's that?
You'll have a Manscaped logo on your jersey starting opening day.
I mean, somebody actually brought up that point. It's like, well, they got a logo. We have a Nike logo for like throughout the 90s, early 2000s. We couldn't even have they wouldn't let them put the Russell Athletic patch on there. Now we got a Nike logo and we have a fucking Star Insurance logo on there, and they only pay like $20 million to put there. So like, Doesn't that mean something? And there is people whose confidence, like if I had to shave, I don't know if I would leave the house. I had to get a biopsy like 6 months ago, and they shaved this off. I didn't want to even leave the house. So,
I didn't see this guy for months.
What's that?
I said I didn't see you for weeks or months after that in person.
I felt like the man in the Iron Man mask. I just was like, I'm not leaving the house. But it is can be related to people's confidence, how you look. So if there's somebody who a beard is their thing, not just the caveman style like Johnny Damon, and he could care less, and he thought it was cool, but that was just a look he had for a couple of years there. So like there is guys.
I agree.
I
agree. Some faces should be covered with hair. They really they are. Anyways, yeah, and if the Mariners had a logo, I think it would be 99 cents or a dollar store. That would be correct for them. Anyways, we're gonna play this end music that Vlad created for us here. Thanks again for liking, subscribing, and all of that shit. We'll be back soon. We're not going to give you a definitive date, but we're going to be back soon. Talking more Mariners shit as the season gets closer and closer. Remember to hit up at simply.core. That's at simply.core for all your rye bread and mustard gear. You want that street cred for rocking the rye bread? Hit up at simply.core. And also, we got to get this promo code here on the screen, as you said, Vlad. But In the Clutch apparel, intheclutch.com, they license all of the sports. And guess what? The money goes directly to the player. So, like, if you're in the mood to buy some new Mariners gear, but you don't want that money going to Fanatics, you don't want it going to the Mariners, hit up at intheclutch.com. Promo code rye bread and mustard, all one word. Anyways, that's our show. With that being said, Hanno, you know what time it is. Charge. And of course, we get a comment as coming in here. All right, we'll have to get that on the next show. All right, we're out.